Here's a curveball for you. New homes in Greenville, South Carolina are actually more affordable than established homes. This is the exact opposite of what people always think. Most people think a new home is going to cost them more. In this video, I'm going to break down why a new house is actually more affordable in Greenville than an established home. In this video, I'm going to break down why a new home is actually more affordable than an established home. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of going each route so you can make the best decision yourself. My team and I went back and looked at the data over the last 12 months. The average price for a new build in our market was around $360,000. The average price for a home that was established was around $416,000. So that means in Greenville, it is 13% more affordable to buy a new home. And price point is not the only reason why a new build might be more affordable than a resale home. What we found in Greenville is that there was a limited supply for a long period of time, so builders rushed out to meet that demand. And builders really focused in on that affordable price point in our market, which created a lot of great opportunities for buyers to come in at a lower price point. Now what's happened is there's a lot of new construction that's out there on the market. A lot of these builders are competing with each other, so it's a great opportunity right now for someone to look at new construction. And what's happened in the resale market is there was a lot less inventory. A lot of those really famous neighborhoods that people wanted to move to, people just weren't moving. They had really great interest rates. Now we're starting to see that shift and change a little bit in our market. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in this video of how all that's played out. Now let's go back to what makes a new home more affordable. So of course I've already mentioned it's more affordable from a price point. And the other things that are happening is that these builders are competing with each other. They built a lot of the homes that are similar in price point, and the communities overall have a lot of similarities and the locations are similar. Sometimes builders are even in the exact same neighborhood. So the builders have been getting competitive with each other, which has created a great opportunity for buyers. Also, what they're doing is not just affordable price points, but they're giving interest rate buy downs, they're giving closing cost incentives, they're giving appliances and so much more. So what does that mean for you as a buyer? You can at times get a 1 to 2% below market interest rate, which could be hundreds of dollars, potentially even thousands of dollars of savings depending on what price point you buy at, every single month on your mortgage payment. The other thing that they're doing is they're paying closing costs. A lot of times they'll pay for all or the vast majority of the buyer's closing cost, just making it even more affordable for the out-of-pocket cost for that buyer. They're throwing in things like blinds and refrigerators and washers and dryers, and sometimes they're doing even upgrades to the build to attract buyers because they know that there are a lot of options out there for that buyer looking for a new construction home. For builders, this is not an emotional decision. This is about the P&L and it's about the balance on their balance sheet. They want to get the inventory off their list. They know that they have certain homes that they just need to move. So that's what creates a lot of these great opportunities. And for those people who own a house, they're in situations typically where they need to get a certain amount of equity to make their move and make their transition. So all those things go in conjunction together. The other thing that we find with new construction is what they've done is they've expanded outside of the typical footprint of where people might have been looking. There's some really phenomenal new construction communities, and there's some that are located within 10 minutes of downtown, but a lot of them have been closer to 25, 30 minutes from the main downtown of Greenville. That doesn't mean that you should rule them off your list, but just know that some of these resale homes might have a little bit stronger of a location where maybe there's been more development as well. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So if I were making a case for someone to buy a new construction house, what would I say? What would be the reasons? Of course, I've already talked a lot about affordability. Here's some other things that you should know about. One is peace of mind. If you're looking for warranties, if you're looking for everything to be brand new in your home, of course, that's what you get with a new construction home. Most builders are offering what we call a 1-2-10 warranty, which means the first year they cover comprehensively everything at the house, outside of landscaping. The second year, they'll cover everything in the wall. So they'll cover anything that happens with electrical and plumbing. And then your 10-year warranty is for structural components. So overall, you feel well protected as a new construction buyer. The other thing would be low maintenance and efficiencies. So when you think about all the new technology that we have, a lot of people are paying a lot less on their utility bills with a new house compared to a home that was built in the 1940s. There's just better windows, better insulation, and overall the equipment that's used is more efficient. The other thing that I would mention would be customizations and having everything look uniform. depending on what builder you go with, you can make the design selection. So you can choose your flooring, your countertops, what you want your bathrooms and your floor plan to look like. So there's a lot of different customization and options that you get. And of course, everything's new, so it'll be the style of today and the style that you want for your home. Of course, new construction is not the right option for everybody. There's a lot of great resale options that are out there. And now what's the case for resale homes? The first thing that I have to say is location and the community. If you're looking for an established community with mature trees and landscaping, you're very rarely going to find that with a new construction community. Most things are clear cut down, so it's going to be more of a field with small little trees that are going to grow over time. But with those resale options, of course, you're going to have established, mature landscaping. You're also going to have communities that have already created their identity, so you know what it's like. Is this a community that has a swim team? Is this a community that gets together and does festivals that's already established because they've been doing it? It's a part of that community's culture. Whereas with the new construction community, you don't know. It's going to take someone taking the reins and creating that style of community. I also mentioned location. A lot of that prime real estate and land, of course, has already been built on, and that's where those resale homes are at. Not that there's not some really phenomenally located new construction communities, but a lot of them tend to be further out in areas that are seeing more development coming to it. Whereas those resale homes, they likely have a lot of development that's already happened nearby. So that creates opportunities for people where if you want to be 2 minutes from the grocery store, or you want to be in the best school system, or whatever the case may be, it might be easier to find that in resale than it would be in new construction. Now, this isn't always the case, but it's more common to find in resale than it is in new construction. If you're looking for that character and you're looking for a larger lot, more space between your neighbors, you're going to get that more with a resale community more often than those new homes. What you're going to see is if you want that third of an acre, half an acre, full acre style property, you're going to get a lot more of those with resale homes. You're going to have, as I already mentioned, the mature trees, the character, the different style of build. A lot of the new construction communities, they found, hey, this is what the buyer is looking for. This is the style that they're gravitating towards. And a lot of the homes are going to have that similar feel. Whereas in some of the resale communities, tons of renovations have been done. The styles have been changed over time. So that's going to just create a unique vibe to those specific communities. Another point that I have to mention is resale value. Because there's been so much new construction that's happened in the area, what some people have found if they bought a new construction home within the last 2 or 3 years is a lot of builders are still building in those communities. They're offering all these incentives that I'm mentioning. So for that person that's selling that house 2 or 3 years later, there might not be a ton of equity in that home. Whereas someone who might have bought in a more established community, because there's less inventory, there's less competition, there's not the builder in there with those incentives, they're seeing more equity gains. So this is a big trade-off and something to consider depending upon how long you anticipate and expect being in your home. So you've heard a lot of differences, a lot of pros and cons. So how do you decide which option works best for you? Well, one thing that you should consider is your timeline. If you need to move immediately, there are some new construction options for you out there, but you're going to basically be buying a new construction home that's like a resale. You're not making any customization. So that's one thing to consider. The next thing that I mentioned would be your commute. It doesn't mean that you necessarily can't go new construction, but if you're someone that's like, I'm only going to do a 10-minute commute, you're likely going to find a lot more resale options than new construction options. If you're someone that prefers budget predictability, you don't want those unknowns of what can happen over time, new construction might be the best option for you. Because if something happens in the first year or two, you're typically covered with new construction. Whereas with that resale home, there are home warranties and there's some options out there, but overall, you're going to be on the hook for a lot of those expenses. So if the electrical system goes bad, that's a big expense for you. Your HVAC goes out, your roof, those are big expenses that you're going to have to pay for. Another factor is lifestyle. Do you want the charm? Do you want the character, the big lots? Well, then resale is probably the best option for you. Or if you want everything to look new and fresh and you want that peace of mind and security, of course, a new build will be the better option for you. To go back to how I started this video, new homes are 13% more affordable than resale homes. And builders are stacking incentives on top of that, making them even more affordable. And of course, some of the long-term costs should be lower with a new build, just making them more affordable. But affordability is not the only reason that you want to buy a home. So you've got to decide for yourself what makes the most sense. If you're planning a move here in the upstate and you'd like some help determining what is the best option for you, or you want to learn about some of the new construction communities or some of the best established communities in the area, feel free to reach out to our team. We'd love to be your real estate resource of choice here in the upstate. All of our contact information will be in the description down below and at the end of this video. We'd love to help.
you.